everyone, it's Nicole and welcome to the National Scrapbook Day or International Scrapbook Day. We have 11 YouTubers that all got together and we're bringing you each a video so that you can enjoy your scrapbooking day and scrap along with us. I am going to do something a little different to my usual scrapbooking. A couple years ago, I loved doing mixed media and I did some canvases, and I only stopped because I had, you only have so much wall space, and I've always wanted to do it on a scrapbook page. So I showed you, I pulled out some gesso, some modeling paste, some Faber-Castell pit brushes. I took out some gelatos, watercolor paint, StazOn ink, a whole bunch of different things. And I'm actually going to do it on a canvas that is made for scrapbooking. So it's 12 by 12. And I'm gluing it down to a piece of cardstock that's 12 by 12 just because I wanted it to have a little bit of sturdiness. So because the canvas has it's sticky back and it's very flimsy, and actually I think you're going to see, I'm going to show at the end. I'm not going to do it because this video is already 34 minutes long, but I figured where it's National Scrapbook Day and it's a sort of a special thing, I figured you guys wouldn't mind that the video is a little extra long, and there's so many steps in this that I didn't want to rush too much through it and miss some steps. So the first thing I do is grab my gesso, and gesso is like a prep. So I'm putting it on my canvas so that all the stuff that I put on, it's not going, the canvas is not going to soak it in. It's just going to sort of lay on top of the gesso. And for this, you need your heat gun, you need your glue gun, and some Mod Podge. I forgot about Mod Podge. That's a big part of this. And because a lot of things is water soluble, so you need to put Mod Podge in between each of your layers, because let's say if you put watercolor paint or spray mist, I forgot I got spray mist into this too, and you spray mist and then you do paint. Well, spray mist is water soluble, so as soon as it gets wet, it's going to smudge. And the way to not make it smudge is when you actually put on your gesso, you don't brush back and forth, you actually pounce it, and then that way it doesn't smudge. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I want my whole background covered. So I'm going to take scraps of Scraptastic kits, and it's all scraps from that kit, and I'm going to glue it down to my canvas. Now how am I going to glue it down? I put a coat of Mod Podge on the bottom, like directly against the canvas, and then one over top. And there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just trying to find some papers that look good together, and I kind of took all my favorite papers on this because I wanted my favorite papers to be on this layout. And I have to say, there is so many layers on this that when you see the final product, you see a hint of all those pages, but I'm okay with that. I think if I would have started with a blank canvas, it takes way more paint, way more spray mist. So this gives you a good foundation for your colors to start building up. And this is actually the 10th layout using the Scraptastic kit, but I'm going to show you layout 10 before 9 because this was a special sort of scrapbooking video for National Scrapbook Day. This layout took me 2.5 hours to complete, and I said in January that I wanted to do different things this year and fun stuff. And it's been kind of a crazy busy year, and I've tried a few, different new things, but if you listen back to some of my process videos, I said that I wanted to do a mixed media page, and this is it. I've brought in all my mixed media products, and I had fun. My hands were totally filthy. My desk was tons of oh, and I brought out some stamps from Kaiser Arts, and I brought out templates from the Crafters Workshop, and there is so many things that you need, or not need, that I just brought out and played and had fun with. It was so much fun. So I think what I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to try to at least do something different like this. Try really out of my norm, comfort zone. And I mean, this layout took 2.5 hours. I could have done 3 layouts in this amount, but it was fun. And sort of the challenge for us for this YouTube layout hop was to try something different, something new for you. Now, I've done this before, but it's been a long time, and before it was all canvas that you put on the wall, so this was fun to actually do it as a layout page and do a layout about something that has changed you or had defined you as a person. And I figured this, I can put it in my photo album, or I can even put it in a photo box and put it on my wall. Like, I might do that in my new scrap room when if we ever move into this new house. And the subject I'm going to, I guess, share with you today is I became a 911 dispatcher for the ambulance 7 years ago, and how that has changed my life. Before I went to work for 911, I had been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. A few months before, maybe a year before, a scrapbook store that I used to go in all the time, the owner just came to me one day and said, "Hey, would you like to teach classes for me?" And I said, yeah. And I started teaching classes there, but it was very, not a full-time job. And then I started working in the store too, and for her husband. And when the store closed, what's the next step? And my son was then in school, and I found out about this job at 911, and I kind of applied because, I had nothing to lose. I had really nothing to lose. And I got the job, and it has really, transformed my life. And just before I'll talk on and off about that as I'm talking about the layout. So once I glued down all the papers with the Mod Podge and I put a coat over top, I just take my heat gun and I dry it up, and I'm kind of taking my left hand and kind of feeling the layout to see if there's any wet spots, because you don't want to start adding, paints and other media on top of wet Mod Podge. So I had my glue gun all ready to go, and I have my heat gun sitting there. And it felt so funny because before, when I used to scrap, the first thing I would do when I walked into my room was plug in my heat gun. My heat gun hasn't been plugged in over a year. So I didn't even know where it was. I had to find it. I had put it away. And then so it was like saying hello to a new friend. So at this point, I'm going to take the gesso and I'm going to put it again on top of that pattern paper. And my battery's going to die. And my poor camera, it has seen better days. The battery's going to die. It used to tape over an hour and a half before the battery used to die. Now it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So for this 2.5 hour video, I had to do it in 5 sessions. Like, it was nuts. So I did order a new flip video because, just doing a layout for 30 minutes and having to stop I'll never get anything done, because then it takes 2 hours to recharge. And so I should be getting that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I ordered it from China or Korea again and got a really good deal on it. So again, I put the gesso over the whole layout, and because I don't want anything to move or bleed or anything, I put a coat of Mod Podge. So I have a paintbrush or a foam brush that's just for my gesso, and a foam brush that's just for my Mod Podge. And half the time the cover on my Mod Podge wasn't even closed because that's how often that I used it. So that gesso just kind of toned down those colors on the pattern paper just enough that I could feel that I could start then layering. Now I took this awesome doily from Kaisercraft, and I'm going to take some sort of teal spray from Mr. Huey. And the first two I sort of did, using the template. And then the third one, I just flipped the template over and kind of use it as a stamp. So I got a different look of it. Like the two other ones are sort of a negative, and then the third one is a positive image. And again, heat gun out, drying it. I have a paper towel handy because if there was any puddles of mist, I kind of dabbed it up with the paper towel. So I have the paper towel in my left hand, the heat gun in my right hand, and just kind of dabbed it. And then once that is done, I don't know if I'm going to add some Mod Podge in between. Let me see here. No, I'm just going to take out some gesso, and I believe I'm going to take out some just little, this is actually some punchinella. It's just a leftover, and I'm using it as a template. I'm just using a bristle brush, and I'm just pouncing it on the page, and it's just kind of leaving the imprint of the punchinella. Then I took another, I think it was just almost like a screen, and just kind of added more. I didn't bother putting Mod Podge in between those layers because I wasn't spreading the paint. I was kind of dabbing it on. So I figured, I'll get 2 usage before I have to put Mod Podge again because I was pouncing it on. So there was less danger of me smearing that glimmer mist. Or I guess it wasn't glimmer mist. It was Mr. Huey spray. So that blue, that mist is still a little wet. So I'm going to again take the paper towel and dab it up. And this is where I'm putting some Mod Podge. And it looks like I'm spreading it back and forth, but it's because it's going fast. I'm actually pouncing the page. And because otherwise, if I move my brush back and forth, I'm actually going to smear all that Mr. Huey mist. Now, I'm going to be stopping the recording a lot because it's 33 minutes. I don't want to go on for like 5 or 6 minutes and it's not recording. So I'll be stopping often. I just worked a 12-hour day, so the brain is a little flaky. So if I'm having trouble finding my words, that's why. I then took a Crafter's Workshop heart template, and again I did the negative where I sprayed it, and then I flipped the template over and did the positive. And what that does 2 things. 1, it gives you a different effect of it, and 2, you're cleaning off your template before you put it away. And as I add some other layers, the list of the 11 YouTubers are going to be in the description below. But just to give everyone a shout out, I can't believe, Irit Landgraf, I hope I say her name right. She's from Austria. She's the one that put this together. Thank you so much for that effort to bring everybody together and contact everybody, and all the emails you had to send. I think this is awesome. This is, offering something really cool to the scrapbooking community. So thanks for doing that. And I just want to give a shout out to all the YouTubers that are participating, and I'm going in alphabetical order. There's Ashley Laura, Carlie Hamilton, Gina Beth, Irit Landgraf, Kitty Scrapper, Manda Moore, Meaghan Russo, Mercytiara, myself, Robin's Nursing Journey, and Tuesdae Hubbard. So a awesome list of YouTubers, and I'm sure you're going to have a fun-filled day watching everybody's videos. So at this point, I took another template, and I just used some gesso again and used my bristle brush and added more texture. And the thing is just to keep adding more and more texture over top. And I'll tell you, the best part is you can't make a mistake, because you're going to see at the end, I made a boo-boo. And I was like, as soon as I did it, I'm like, no, because it was the wrong kind of pink. And it was like throwing my whole layout off. And with some gesso, and I just bring it back. And so that's the good thing, because it's so mixed media and messy. And if you mess it up, you just slap on some gesso and you can fix it. So at this point, I wanted some teal paint, but I found it was a little too teal for my layout, so I added some gesso. I'm adding some studio paint from Claudine Elmeth. I just stopped the recording so I could go get it. And yes, it is Claudine Helmuth. It's studio, and it was classic teal. And they're awesome paint. They're, the color of them is just so bright. And so at this point, I'm just going to add some teal all over the page. And right now, it looks super bright. But the thing is to know that you add more stuff on top and on top and on top, and eventually that teal is there, but it's in the background. It's just adding that extra texture that you want there. And so the two colors I want to kind of focus on today is teal and pink. And if you knew me, I'm not a pink person at all, but there was a lot of pinks in the papers, and I just love that combination of color. And I tell you, being a scrapbooker, color now, I just love color so much. And my favorite color used to be green, and now I have a hard time saying what my favorite color is. So at this point, I added some pit brush and some gelatos, and I'm just adding it to the page, and I'm smudging it with my fingers and just adding texture and color to the whole page. Now I want to add some stamping, and this is Kaiser Art. It's a clock, and everything kind of has sort of a reason why I'm putting it on. I'm going to add some, this is stays on in white, and I have to re-ink it every time. And so I'm going to add some stays on. I'm going to add some stamping in white. I have to say the black stamping comes out much, much better because of the gesso, but it still kind of gives texture to the background. Like it just adds so much, like when you add layer on top of layer on top of layer. And as you're looking at the canvas, I added some close-up pictures at the end, and I hope it kind of does it justice. But you just see a little bit of one stamping and a little bit of one color, and it just adds so much texture to the background. Now I use that doily again, except this time I use some Studio Calico white mist. And because that blue was so prominent on the page, by adding the white mist, it kind of tones it down and kind of pushes it back into the background, just so that it's not right there in your face. Now I'm going to add some molding paste, and I'm going to add some pink Claudine Elmeth paint to it, because I want to change the modeling paste to pink. And now I'm going to take out some more templates, and this time with the modeling paste, what it's doing, it's actually adding texture to the page. So I'm using this like sort of chevron arrows or arrowheads, and I'm going to add them to 3 or 4 places on the layout. And I'm not being careful, I'm just spreading it and just having fun. And that's what I like about this type of layout is you really get kind of, messy, and you don't have to be careful. And at the end of, like, when I was done the page was, my room was just a complete wreck. Like, it was so bad. I was just looking at it going, oh, I don't think I can clean it up. Like, it's just, and then I thought, no, just put 15 minutes on the timer and at least do 15 minutes. And it was amazing how much I got put away in 15 minutes. My entire desk was put away and all the mixed media stuff was put away. And I also took a template that had mini circles on it. And I also did some with that. And I'm just showing you, I brought it up closely just to show you the dimension that it gives on the layout. And then this, I'm going to try something, and that's the thing, you try things and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I want to put a Project Life card on my page, and I wanted to color in the camera in teal and in pink, and I just don't like it. And so I'm just going to scrap the whole thing and decide on a different Project Life card. And, I tried it and I didn't like it, so that's okay. Like, I got those watercolors at Michael's. They were like $6.99 for each palette. One of them sort of has a shimmer to the watercolor, and the other one is more like a matte look. And I just, like I said, I didn't like the way it turned out, so I'm just going to put it aside and, go another way. But I just want to, leave it in and show you that sometimes you try something and it doesn't work, but that's okay. I mean, how are you going to find out if you like something or if you don't like something if you don't try it out? So I didn't find that like it was a wasted 5 minutes. It's just next time I'll try to do it maybe a different way. And so at this point, I just put the card away, and I'm just going to move on. I kind of made a mess on that piece of paper I kind of put behind, and I kind of mounted, it's sort of selfies that I took of myself last, I guess it was December. I was working, and I just never taken pictures of myself at work. So I just knew that I wanted to document because 911 has been a big part of my life, and I just wanted to, have that in my scrapbooks. I took some flowers that I had in my stash. I sprayed it with some pink mist and then some white mist over top just to kind of tone it down. And then I'm going to do one, and I'm just going to do it with a teal, and then I'm going to put white over top also. And I'm going to use them on the layout. And the Jenny Bolin buttons, or I guess they're wood buttons, I'm going to use them on this layout too. Now, another thing that's really fun to put on mixed media canvases is rub-ons. And the great thing is you don't have to be careful about it. Even if half the flower goes on or half the word, that's all part of the charm. And as you can tell by my rub-on stickers, that's how they were used. And a lot of them are just like half there, and here there was a nice sort of sprout of flowers kind of going up, and I kind of rubbed it as much as I could, leaving some so that they were only partially rubbed on. And like I said, it just gives it that grungy mixed media look. And I'm going to put on a mixture of white and black rub-ons. I found this Project Life card that's where I'm going to do my journaling. I'm going to add some more white rub-ons and just pieces here and there. I have just a rub-on tool that I'm using to rub them on, and I'm also using a popsicle stick too. Now the battery's going to die, and the only thing that I will have done is I took my heat gun and I glued those flowers together because I had 2 different flowers and I just kind of wanted to layer those together. So I just used my my glue gun, and I glued them together because, like I said, it took 5 recordings, 5 different sessions that I had to work on this sort of page canvas to get it done. So I just wanted to get those flowers glued so I wouldn't have to keep recording, because I wanted it to be ready and done for tomorrow, National Scrapbook Day. And tomorrow I am not going to be home all day. My daughter has a competition, plus then I work at night. So I won't be able to participate myself in National Scrapbook Day, but I wanted to upload a few videos for you guys. And I will have my National Scrapbook Day probably like Tuesday by the time I finish working. I'll start, I'll watch everybody's videos. I wanted my mat to be sort of grungy, so I took my scissors and scratch the edges of the photo mat. And this is where I boo-booed. I take my ink pad and flip it over, and then I go, oh my goodness, that pink is way too pink. And on the video, you can't really tell, but it is really pink. It throws off that soft peachy pink. It throws it right off. So what I'm going to do, because it's water soluble, and if I want to add gesso over top or anything like that, and I don't want it to smudge all over, I'm going to dry it up, and then I'm going to put some Mod Podge over top, and then I'm going to put some gesso over top and really tone it down. And this was strawberry squash or strawberry slush from Stampin' Up, the ink. And then what I end up using is crisp cantaloupe, and it looks much, much better. So it's going to take me a little bit of time. And I'm showing you that that's what I did. I put gesso, and then I put some crisp cantaloupe ink. And then I took out some ribbon from Stampin' Up in the same color. I put some foam tape in behind the photo itself, and then in behind the mat, I'm going to place it sort of 1/3 up on the page, and then I'm going to put the journaling spot right underneath. I'm going to add, again, using my glue gun, I'm trying to add everything down. I'm putting glue gun. I'm using my glue gun because I really want it to be stuck down. And with all the mixed media, I want to make sure that it's nice and stuck. Now there was a cutout from the Scraptastic kit that said My Everyday, and I added it to the layout. And then I'm going to add some ribbon to the bottom of that journaling spot, and then right underneath the photo. And 911 is a place that really has affected, I guess, my life in many ways. I love to be able to help people. I was someone that couldn't even listen to the news before I started working on 911 because I found it so depressing. And my friend, when I started working there, she was like, well, how are you going to do it? Like, you can't even read the newspaper or watch the news. And I said, it's because I feel helpless. I feel like I can't do anything. Like, bad things are happening and I can't do anything to help. And it just makes me feel helpless. So I don't want any part of it. But working for 911, I feel like even though it's just a little bit that we can do to help, even if it's just to be there with someone until the ambulance arrives, it's doing something for, the community. And it's such a challenging job. Like, nothing ever is the same, ever. And so I used one of those Amy Tangerine stickers that says cherish, and then just my everyday. And then I'm using the Teresa Collins letter in white and black. And I'm going to decide to put part of the title above the photo and below the photo. And it just says, "Being a dispatcher changed my life." And has it made me a little bit more paranoid? Absolutely. Like I'm always telling my kids, be careful. And when they're on the road, be careful, watch the roads, watch the other drivers. And I'm always, texting them. So, I'll just ask them, let me know when you're there and is everything okay? And but we always, joke at work that it takes special kind of people, and we put the emphasis on special kind of people to work there. You have to be able to take a hard call and then hang up and then take the next one. And there are some calls that are, harder than others. And we have a program to, kind of help you deal with it, walk through it. I think the best thing that we have is that we have each other to talk to. And if you would walk into our center, it's not dark and gloomy. As a matter of fact, everyone is bugging each other, giving each other a hard time. And when it's, time to get down to business, we get down to business. And then, you take a hard call, and then you have to, it's sort of like someone falling off the bike, a bike or a horse, you get right back on. Well, that it's sort of the same thing. And I think the hardest thing for me is the shift work. I'm not a young chick anymore. And I'm finding that, I guess, with the years, harder and harder. The job length or expectancy is about 2 years. The turnover, I guess, is what I meant to say. The turnover is about 2 years. And there is a handful of us that are 5 years and plus. And I've been there for over 7 years. And, the job is hard, but I love my job. And I always said that the day that I don't care is, if I get that hard, I'm not going to do that job anymore, because that's not why I started working there. It was to help as much as we can, even if it's just like, if you want to say, like, holding or just staying on the line with someone until help arrives, and giving the instructions that we do. So here are a few close-ups of each little area. I guess I just kind of took some close-up pictures so you could see all the layers. Now just make sure that you go check out the other 11 YouTubers that uploaded these videos for you guys. And I hope you have an amazing International Scrapbooking Day. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.